Hey everybody, it's John Halpin. I'm here with Ryan Fowler. Hope you had a Merry Christmas. We are here to start previewing the NFL's Week 17 schedule, the final week of the regular season for Pickwatch Live. Ryan, how was Christmas for you, bud?
It was good. It was good. My parents came down over the weekend, and then I head up to Cleveland from Cincinnati, like our favorite Bengals squad that we'll get to here in a little bit tomorrow. So my nephew's 11th birthday tomorrow. So a big day for him. Also very into football. Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, favorite player. So it's going to be a busy week at the Fowler household. How was yours?
Mine was pretty good. We had, as I've told you before, we do a Christmas Eve party. So we have some family and friends over and everything. We actually topped out at about 60 people. And I make pizza. I stand and make pizza, and people bring food and all that stuff. And it's only a few hours. The thing is, because people have kids and everything, they're gone by, this starts at 6:30, and by 9 o'clock, everybody's gone.
Right.
So it's a short burst. It's a lot of fun. So that's busy because we do that, and then Christmas and after. By last night, we were pretty tired.
Yeah, I bet. What was the big present in the Halpin household for adult or child?
For adult or child, there weren't huge ones. My son got a laptop. We got him one last year, and I kind of got what I paid for, if that makes sense.
Been there, done that, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of said, I can get by with this one. And every day I said, all right, it won't start again. Oh, great. So we did that. I got a sous vide machine. Do you cook?
Oh, I've seen that. The Jewel?
Yes,
yeah.
I got the Jewel.
You can basically cook anything in water.
Right. So I'm going to try it with a steak later this week, because that seems to be what people do. It's perfect doneness. So you just said, hey, I want it to be 135 degrees. And there's not degrees of gray to pink. It's all
there.
Same. And yeah, so
I've heard good things.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a busy couple of days, but we're getting back at it. I did not watch Broncos Raiders. Confession.
Ooh, I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Did you watch one? I literally didn't watch 1 second of it.
I watched the game. My parents had left by then. So I had, what was that, Christmas Eve free.
Yeah.
I tuned in, and Mr. Harris starting off with the punt return shenanigans, and trended the right way. So I was locked in. Okay,
so let's get to our. I got to do a shout out here. We track our picks every week and let you know how we do and all that. Josh was 13-2 against the spread. So we'll talk more about this on Friday morning. And it's funny, we've been talking all year. Like I get to the point. He was of the three of us kind of bringing up the rear all year.
Went off.
And now I am.
He trumped you with the 13-2?
It's ridiculous. He went 13-2.
I know.
I went 6-9, so that's not good.
It's amazing how much ground you can make with a 13-2 week.
It's really that's pretty incredible. I'm actually going to look and see who he missed.
Was his strategy going against the grain? Because some of those were so contrary, and you wonder if you were just trying to move up the rankings by.
No, because we talked about that. It was funny. We did joke last week that we had, I think, 10 disagreements out of 16 games.
No, so and
it was more than usual. But let's see. Redskins plus 10. I don't think that's a crazy. Ravens was good. He had the Bengals he got the Bengals plus 8.5.
And that was a backdoor cover because the Browns couldn't punt at the end. Plus, they played really soft in the second half.
Correct. And was that Chubb that didn't get in the end zone at the end of the game?
Njoku got tackled, and then they took knees.
That's what I was watching him going, they're going to take a knee, damn it.
If the Bengals had one timeout, they probably scored.
He took the Giants. His only losses were Dolphins and Chiefs. He got the cup. We had a few games last week that I think the results changed based on the spread moving.
Well, yeah, and the Bills scored a touchdown late. The Bills covered late because the Patriots just laid down their arms and they covered 12.5 late.
But that game started at 10.5. We didn't have it. I don't think anyone here on Pickwatch got it at 10.5, but the game started at 10.5. So some people who got the Patriots early in the week did okay. The Texans-Eagles changed over the course of the week. Mm. So, which basically some people got the Eagles at pick 'em, some people got the Texans at plus 2.5. Actually, Josh got the Texans at plus 2.5. So there were a few interesting games that worked out interesting that way.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, yeah, Josh, let's see. Packers, Texans, Falcons plus 2.5 against Heineke. He took the Rams to cover. He took the Bears to cover, which was a close one.
Yeah, that was a 5 when it was mostly a 4.
So yeah, he had a great week. So you were fine. You were 8-7 against the spread, 14-2 straight up. That's pretty strong.
Oh, was I really? I didn't look.
Mhm.
The Buccaneers was the push heard around the world.
Right. So all right. So the way things worked, I went 12-4 straight up, 6-9 against the spread. You were 14-2 straight up, 8-7 against the spread. As I said, Josh had the best record of the week on the site at 13-2 against the spread. Against the spread standings, Ben Volen from the Boston Globe has been up there all year. He went 5-10, but he's still in the lead.
Yeah, man, that top of that leaderboard outside of Clay was rough.
Yep. So Ben Volen, they're equal in wins. Jamie Eisenberg has 2 more losses.
Right.
So
Volen's this year.
Technically a game ahead. The other guys aren't going to catch up. Mike Clay's third, but he's not. I mean, he'd have to have some insane week to catch up. You're 7th, which is a strong. We keep trying to get you into the top 5, which you can reach. You're a game and a half out of the 4th spot.
Not bad.
So I think you get 10 wins this week. You might be up there.
Should have had 10 wins this past week with stupid backdoor covers. But then again, lucking into the Packers winning overtime because Aaron Rodgers and the Packers had no business winning that game.
Right. They really did. I watched the end. We went out to I joked with someone Monday that my dad's here. Oh, nice. And my dad, for those who don't know, he has been going to Giant games since the 1950s. He went to the Alan Amici game, and he's seen everything. He's been going since. I mean, he doesn't go anymore, but he called me the day before he came. He goes, "All right, so we're going out to watch the Giants on Sunday, right?" Because I don't have my wife works for the cable company, so I don't have Sunday ticket. Right. And he says, "We're going out to watch the Giants, right?" And I should know better. I'm like, "Really? They suck." Like, are we really going there? Well, yeah.
It was an entertaining game. I'm glad you got to.
It was an entertaining game. So we watched that, and we got to watch the end of Eagles Texans and Packers Jets. Yes, which was fun. We wouldn't leave because those 2 games were so much fun. All right, so Volen's to 5-10, but he's in the lead. Jamie Eisenberg, you're 7th against the spread. Josh is 20th. I'm tied for 21st. Straight up, we've got a 3-way tie. Eisenberg, Elliot Harrison from NFL Network, and the Odd Shark picks are 160, 177. Dave Richard from CBS is 1 game behind. Nathan Janke from Pro Football Focus is 2 games behind. So that's a pretty good race. I am 18th straight up. You're 26th. Josh 50th. Among the fans, we have the username. I'm going to spell it IMMIDRE. Imagery was 8-8. It still leads at 163-75. We have 2 people tied against straight up. IMATS and Bang1, 163-75. No, that's not right. Well, anyway, they're leading. I have the records wrong. That's it. So that's the recap anyway. So you have 1 more week regular season catch up. Then the game starts shrinking. You don't have as many possibilities to make up ground on people in front of you.
So just everybody, so they're clear, and I'm clear. Playoffs count towards your final record?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think so. He might. Sean, are you there? Are you on Facebook? Go to us on Facebook. Tell us if we're keeping if the records on the site will be separated by playoff, or if people will be able to, if they will add to the current totals. Let us know that if you can. All right. So, hopefully our friends in Great Britain are there. Boxing Day is Canadian, not British. So.
Right, it is. Yeah. Odd Sharks off.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to it. Before we get to it, the rest. You know what? One thing on the site. I'm going to do a little screen share.
We didn't do the screen share today.
Right. Well, we are now on NFLPickwatch.com. Okay. You're going to see the way you can sort to filter. Remember there used to be big green buttons to filter?
Yes.
See, right next to the team names.
Oh, there we go.
Filters and favorites. It's much more. It's definitely cleaner.
Submenus.
Like it. You just got to look for it now. Because today, it was funny. Yesterday, I went, wait, where is it? But it's there, and it's much better.
Submenus are good.
Yep. So check that out, everybody.
And the Excel download. So if you're more interested in sorting,
if you're really into this, the Excel downloads are great.
Yeah, a little CSV file action.
Yep. All right. So that's that. Are we back on? I'm off screen share, right? Stop share. Thank you. Come on, Zoom. All right. So make your picks. Track everybody else's NFLPickwatch.com. Tweet us. He's at Freelance Fowler. I'm at JHalpin37. Our main account is at Pickwatch. Let's get to Week 17.
Let's do it.
A little weird.
Right? Little. You know what? This is going to be the quote-unquote things happen weekend of the year, right?
Right. Shrug your shoulders. Things happen.
And I need 10 wins, so let's go.
Right. All right, here's what we got. Let's start. The reason it's going to be weird is because some teams have nothing to play for. Now, and we don't just mean the teams that are eliminated, but we mean the teams that are in the playoffs and are locked into certain spots. There's only a few of those. We'll talk about them. Let's talk about them as the games, as we get to the games. First is Cowboys-Giants, and this is one of them. Mm-hmm. The Cowboys are locked into the 4th seed in the AFC. They cannot move. So we think they might rest people. So because of this fact that the Cowboys might rest people, the Giants are favored by 6.5 at home. The over-under is 42.5. Adam Levitan, who does a lot of DFS stuff, DraftKings podcast, things like that. I'm going to read a tweet from him. Quote, Jerry Jones is claiming that Dallas will play starters as normal, even though they're locked into the 4th seed. In 2016, he claimed the same thing when they were locked into the number 1 seed. Dak played 2 series. Zeke did not play. Dez played 18 snaps. That's a very good lesson here to learn with the Cowboys. If Jerry Jones keeps saying that, don't necessarily believe. What's Zeke's status in the NFL rushing race?
That's a great question. Well, Gurley missed last week, so that's
right. And Gurley might sit again.
Yeah.
So that's going to be over the course of the week. We're going to learn a lot over the course of the week, everybody. But
C.J. Anderson's playing for a contract next year now.
C.J. Anderson. Believe that? Do you believe that?
Unbelievable.
I told quite a few people not to play him on Sunday.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I was like, you don't know where you get.
Zeke's up 200 yards.
Yeah, Zeke's up 200 yards, so forget that. He's not playing, most likely.
Right.
It would be very surprising, especially that other example when they were locked into the 1 seed. They had a 2-week break coming. This time they only have a 1-week break coming.
Right.
So you should expect a lot of the Cowboys to take a break.
Agreed.
And the Giants to probably win and probably cover, if I'm guessing at this point.
Yeah, and I guess it just comes down to, like, do NFL teams – well, again, they're going to win. And it just comes down to, like, by how many. The problem is, do they just completely lay down because they want a better draft pick? Are we even at – see, I don't know if they're locked in or if it matters if it's one spot or not.
It matters.
Right.
They can move quite a bit because there's a big bunch of teams between the 5th and the 10th pick right now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just not what they're doing. The Giants are playing. Right. The Giants are playing hard.
They competed against Indianapolis, because this is what's so maddening. And you're a Giants fan, so you know this. But you get, and it was raining. I get that, but you get shut out by the Titans 2 weeks ago. Then you go play a heck of a game without Odell Beckham in both games inside the dome. I just think Saquon, when he's in a dome, it's just going to be fun to watch. That team is just better inside. If MetLife Stadium was a dome, I don't care if it's Eli. I think they're going to be more competitive because you get Shepard out there, you get Ingram out there, Barkley on a turf inside, neutral conditions. I just think that could have been a dangerous team because they played well inside NRG Stadium earlier this year. To go from shutout by the Titans to what they did against Indianapolis, who had been playing really good defense and getting to the quarterback to allow that many points. Maybe the Colts are tired, this or that. But, man, if the Giants want to win by 7, they're going to win by 14. That's where it's at this week with the Cowboys laying down. It's just a matter of, do they want to get a better draft position? And that's what you have to juggle. If you think they're playing for a draft pick, I think the Cowboys cover but lose. And they just, like the Giants just kind of, I'm going to hand it off, and I'm just going to let the clock run so nobody dies before going into the offseason. But I'll take Giants to win straight up and Cowboys to cover.
I think I might take the Giants to cover. I want to see how the rest of the week goes. I want to see if Beckham plays, and right now we don't know.
But would you, again, with the way that the season, if Beckham didn't play the last 2 weeks, why is he playing this week at risk of injuring himself going into the offseason?
I don't know how healthy he is. I do know that Shermer said last week, maybe this is coach speak, Pat Shermer was very insistent.
Pat Shermer is very good at coach speak, by the way.
Yes. They were not shutting him down for the season. That's what he said last week. They said, is this a shutdown? He said, no, he's just not ready to play yet. So I think I think there's a decent chance, but I don't know how healthy he is right now. I think we'll know more today. All right, Raiders, Chiefs. Chiefs at home, favored by 13.5, over under 54. If the Chiefs win, they clinch the top seed in the AFC. They win the West. They win the conference. They get home field throughout the playoffs. If they lose, they can drop as low as 5.
Yes.
They could also, if they lose and the Chargers lose, but the Patriots win, then the Patriots get the number 1 seed because the Patriots beat the Chiefs. So there's a lot of things at play here. You got to think the Chiefs are going to beat the Raiders at home. And you got to think the Chiefs are going to be pedal to the metal to win this game. There's going to be no messing around here.
I completely agree. I mean, the Raiders just went from facing Case Keenum to Mahomes. I mean, over here and over here, it's going to be ugly. I think the Chiefs can win this by 20 because their defense stinks. It's just not good. And unless Doug Martin has, again, we had C.J. Anderson and Doug Martin this week with monster games, but Doug Martin was the reason the Raiders were able to win that game against the Broncos because everything else was kind of meh outside of the special teams. But Doug Martin, 20 carries, 100-plus yards, he could do that against the Chiefs, but then everything else has to come together. Chiefs were missing 2 DBs in that game against Seattle, and it really cost them with the way that Russell was throwing. Don't look at that Seattle game in a bubble. Break out of that. Look at the matchup and literally think that the Chiefs can win this game by 20 with all that's on the line for them. They could just blast them.
Yep. All right, so the Raiders have actually played okay at home, and we talked last week about how their schedule at home has been really difficult. On the road, so listen to these. Early in the season, so they lose a close game at Denver, they lose a relatively close game at Miami. Since then, lose by 16 at Chargers, lose by 31 at Niners. They won by 2 at Arizona. Lose by 17 at Ravens, lose by 14 at Cincinnati. This has not been a world-beating team on the road here. It's been pretty freaking bad.
Yep.
Except for that, beating the Cardinals is like, who cares?
And I think, again, I've said this about the Packers. I've said this about the Falcons, teams that aren't going to the playoffs. You look for that game of building on for next year. That was the Raiders winning at home in what could be possibly the last game at that stadium, and they just go into the offseason. I don't think John Gruden, he cares because it's been such a nightmare of a season, but the Chiefs have so much to play for.
Yeah.
Andy Reid's not messing around. They have to figure this out because allowing 38 points at Seattle, you can't have that 2 weeks, 3 weeks before you go into the postseason with the bye that they're going to get likely. But yeah, I think, like you said, they're not going to mess around. They could win this game by 20 points. So long, again, the Raiders have competed over the last 3-4 weeks, which makes you a little nervous with the 13.5, but you could say the same about the Rams without Gurley going to Arizona. Why didn't Arizona compete? Because they can't.
Right.
So I think that's something that you could take into account with this matchup.
Yep. And to something else you said, the Chiefs defense very bad, but the Chiefs will be playing very hard. The last 5 games for the Chiefs have gone over. 4 of the last 6 for the Raiders have gone over. Over under 54.
Over.
Yeah. I mean, you think that, the Chiefs might have some trouble stopping the Raiders, and the Raiders will have no chance to stop the Chiefs.
What about 38-20?
Sounds like something that could happen.
38-21.
Okay. Next up. Oh, I went a page off. Darn it. Paper sticking together. Panthers Saints. We're going to skip this one, and here's why. There's no line on the game yet because the Saints are locked into the number 1 seed in the NFC. They have nothing to play for. You should expect them to rest some people, at least some of the game. The Panthers, on the other hand, their backup quarterback, Taylor Heineke, who played on Sunday and struggled, also hurt his elbow. He was having an MRI. We should hear more today. They could be down to their 3rd-string quarterback. Look, unless you have to pick every game, just don't. Don't even
pick every game. We have to pick every game.
We have to pick every game. And by Friday, when we know more, we will.
Right.
But for now, this is just a disaster to even think about. So, skip. All right.
Skip. I'll take the Saints.
Okay. Jets, Pats. Pats at home, favored by 13.5. Over under 45.5. Okay, here's where we are. I mentioned earlier. If the Pats win and the Chiefs lose, they can still get AFC number 1. If they win and the Chiefs win, they get AFC number 2. They could lose out to the Texans for number 3 if the Texans win and they lose, right? And that's as low as they can go. The Pats are 7-0 at home, 5-2 against the spread at home. Mostly closer kind of games though. But they've been a different team at home and on the road. They beat the Jets on the road 27-13 about a month ago.
Who
What do
was
you think
the
about this game?
quarterback in that game?
Hmm?
Was Darnold back yet? I don't think he was.
I don't think he was either. Let me take a look at that.
I don't think he was. So it was
The thing with the Pats,
The
we've been
Cows.
saying, oh, look, they had this game against the Bills, and it was never close.
but it
I mean,
was
the Bills
never
covered.
far away.
But it wasn't at one point it was 14-6.
I'm well aware. I mean, they had to cover 12.5 last week, and they couldn't against a Bills team that stinks. Like,
Yeah.
Josh Allen has the lowest completion percentage in the NFL, and they allowed that team to cover late. And I know it's a throwaway point, but it's in the classic backdoor cover. But they never stepped on their throat like Belichick teams do in the past.
Right. I don't think they can.
Exactly. Go ahead.
I'm not. I think you agree with me. I'm not sitting here forecasting, the end of the Patriots. So like this is
they'll win a playoff game.
we've always think no one was going to come. They're a step below, right?
Tom, this is how I look at it. Tom looks tired. Gronk's body just is shut down. Like, he's going to drag his body out there, but that's like 75% Gronk at best each week.
Yeah.
Edelman looks a step slow. They haven't used Hogan. They lose Josh Gordon. Cordero Patterson's been a breath of fresh air every other game. Their defense is not good. Stephen Gostkowski's missed kicks this year. You could look at every element of their play, and they can win, but they're not step on your throat Belichick teams because they are older and they're a step slow, and this game is fast.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
They're just not. They're just different. And with their defense, they've had years in the past where you watch them and you say, mid-year, the defense looks terrible, and you go, you know what, they're going to figure it out.
Yep.
They're just not there.
Nope.
I don't think. And it's funny if you look at the second half of the season here. All right, since that game where they got smoked by the Titans, they've given up 13-10, 34, 17-12. Maybe that part on the defense, maybe we're overreacting a little bit. I just think I agree with you. I watch Gronk and I go, it's obvious that he's slower.
Right.
He's not. Josh Gordon leaving changes a lot because it's not like he was dominating, but he was certainly stretching the field for them.
Yeah, and they're going to have to bring Hogan in ASAP because Hogan was a big part of their success last year.
Yeah,
and he's been the forgotten man after they added Gordon.
But a nice player, but he doesn't make the defense focus as much as Gordon does.
It's just a red zone option when Gronk is kind of double covered.
So I don't know. Look, I think the Pats win, and I think they might. Again, I don't. Even though they have so much to play for, I think they probably cover. But it's not if this was 2 years ago, I would have said, oh my God, the Pats are going to win by 30.
Right.
Because they know they have to. And this one, I'm just not sure what kind of extra gear they have. And by the way, I am so in the Sam Darnold fan club right now. He is just, I know he's going to be, he can throw 4 interceptions Sunday. I don't care. He's going to be really good.
So let's look at the Jets and what happened with that game against the Packers. Because this is a lot of points to give a Jets team that just Darnold, your boy, 3 touchdown passes against the Packers defense, which is one of the worst in the league. But the one thing, and this, when I chopped this game up, and Coach Ball mentioned it, the Jets were penalized for like 160 yards. It was the most lopsided penalty distribution in a game this year, where it was either 10 or 16 penalties for like 160 yards. So the Jets forced overtime despite being penalized that much. That's where I look at it as follow the same type of game plan, because McGuire was locked up in the rush game. He was catching passes 3 for 50. You use them in the same way, and you attack this. I don't think the Patriots care about covering by 14 because Belichick doesn't care about your fantasy team. He doesn't care about point spread. He wants a 1-point win in this so they can get in the best possible position as possible. The Jets are actually achieving and moving up the depth chart as far as power rankings go. I think they could cover this 13.5 here, again, depending on how they want to approach the draft.
I think possible, too. It's funny. Someone, I think, tweeted out on Monday that the Jets are doing a great job of keeping their fans entertained and giving them hope while still maintaining their draft position and continuing to lose games.
It's very well said, yeah. It is very well said. And again, this is the one thing we've learned this year is our teams in this year of parity, are they really 14 or more points better than their competition? In a lot of senses, you have to say no. I mean, a lot of people in Pickwatch, the experts, looked at that 14-point spread of the Cardinals and Rams, and they when Gurley was out, they hammered that Cardinals line because even the Cardinals, the worst team in the league, they didn't feel the Rams were 14 points better. That's how I think you have to kind of approach these point spreads.
And they were wrong.
Right. But again, that's where when experts, the quote-unquote experts, or the people that pay attention to this league the most, look at a point spread and say, is that team 14 points better than their competition? In most cases, they think not. They will take the 14 points every day of the week, and I think that's how you apply it here. And if you're wrong, you're wrong.
That's fine. I agree with that. All right, let's move on. Eagles, Redskins. All right, this is this line may have jumped at me more than any other. So Eagles are favored by 6.5 at Washington. Over under 42. The Eagles' path to the playoffs. They win, Vikings lose to the Bears. That's it. That's the only way. Okay? The Eagles have won 4 out of 5, which is nice. Nick Foles playing well. The Redskins, so they've played 2 games with Josh Johnson. Right? They won at Jacksonville. They won that game. They won that game. Yeah. And they played a pretty close game at Tennessee. They were respectable.
Which they wouldn't have covered had they kicked the extra point. But go ahead.
True. But it was a last play. It was a Hail Mary. It was a field goal game.
Just saying. Continue.
So I'm looking at this and I'm going, and the Redskins defense has been they've stepped up the last couple of weeks. I mean, now they kind of have nothing to play for, but they've stepped up. Except they cut one of their starting safeties, which is a wacky story yesterday. Yeah. But the way they've been playing, I know the Eagles have improved. They should be favored by 6.5 at Washington for this. It's not like the Eagles are this is not last year's Eagles. Come on.
That secondary of the Eagles is still trash.
Yeah.
Because of injury. I'm not saying in general. They got injury plagued and it's trash, and Deshaun Watson carved that SOB up. And I think, again, we look at the Redskins, we have a 2-game sample size of Josh Johnson, as you note, in our game bullet points. Now we have a 2-game sample size, so we have to reassess what Josh Johnson means. It could have been a tongue-in-cheek joke 2 weeks ago, but now when they're competing, you have to take it into consideration. The one thing that you brought it up, DJ Swearinger getting cut. There's turmoil in Washington. What is their give a SHIT factor in week 17? That's where I'm like, is Josh Norman just like, Swearinger got a thing? I'm mad at, because if anybody's going to be mad at management and coaching after Swearinger gets cut, it's going to be Norman. Well, I'm gonna pout because whatever. Like, you could just see it turning into a thing. In this spot, I like the Redskins because I'm so concerned about that Eagles secondary just getting chewed up. It's a lot of points. And the Eagles haven't really proved that they're 7 points better right now, especially on the road.
Yeah, I'm with you. And yeah, maybe the Redskins, last week they still technically had a shot. I mean, was unlikely, but they had a shot. And now they don't at the playoffs. But yeah, the Eagles should not be favorites. Are you? How much of a believer are you in the Eagles the way they've been playing? I mean, they snuck that one out the other day at home. It's not like they dominated.
Yeah, I watched enough of that game to say it's not they don't have enough on defense. Plus, both lines, offensive and defensive line for the Eagles, they lose a key player every game, mostly their offensive line. And then Peters left the game last week for them. And I'm like, they need those guys because when their secondary is so chewed up. Believer? No. I mean, Foles has been pretty good coming off cold since Wentz's back got fractured or whatever, but you look at their backfield and you're like, oh, who's their running back? Like, if you're just casually watching the NFL and you're looking at, but like, Adams and Smallwood, who's their running? Oh, Darren Sproles is running the wheel route. Like, the plays that they're scoring on, like Sproles literally carried that offense this past week. You can't have Darren Sproles carrying your offense.
Right. One other thing I want to mention about some of these games we're talking about here. The late games could affect the early games could affect the late games.
Ooh, very good point. Very good point.
I mean, Eagles Redskins is that a late game? Eagles that's a late game. I'll give you an example. So all right, so actually they probably don't because Texans and Patriots both play early and they affect each other. The Chiefs need to win anyway. I'm trying to look and see if forget what I just said because they probably.
Yeah, I think the NFL's gotten better of adjusting for that.
Yeah, because all the late game, the Eagles play late, and so do the Vikings. So all right, forget that.
Yeah, I think the NFL tried to curb that.
Yeah, I like what they did with this, by the way.
Yeah,
and I like that they put the Patriots and the Texans in the early window so that there was some suspense in the early window.
Right.
All right, Lions Packers. Packers by 7.5. Over under is 45. Packers finally got their win on the road. They were 0-7 before beating the Jets in overtime, but they're 5-1-1 at home. These guys played in Week 5. The Lions won 31-23 at home. I mean, these are not good teams. I know the Packers beat the Jets. They're not good.
No.
Aaron Jones still out for them. I mean, Williams played fine. Williams played well, actually.
He played really well. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to give anyone 7.5 in this game, but I know the Packers are better at home. So.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things you can look at it here. Well, as we were just kind of discussing, are two bad teams when they face each other? Is one of them more than a touchdown better?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so. My short answer is no, because you look at that Lions game against the Vikings, and they have figured out a way. They were up. And then Cousins threw the Hail Mary right before halftime to Rudolph, and the whole game changed. But the one thing you can definitely consider, the Lions' rush defense is good. Their pass defense is pretty good. So if you blanket Devontae Adams and let everybody else beat you, and you know your rush defense solid, I would look at the under at this game before I look at the point spread, because I think that under definitely comes into play with the way that the Lions' defense has played. Because as well as Vikings did, and they won 24-9, and the Lions, I don't know anybody on the Lions roster anymore because everybody's hurt. But look at this game here with Theo Riddick. This could be a Theo Riddick Week 17. Are you still in the fantasy playoffs? You might start Theo Riddick game because of the way the Jets used Elijah McGuire last week. That could be the one thing that sparks the offense because Galladay will probably have a good day because the Packers' secondary is garbage. You have Galladay, a little Theo Riddick. The Lions are going to put some points on the board, and I think they can stay within a touchdown of the Packers. They're going to lose, but I think they can keep it close.
Okay. You said the under. Last 5 for the Lions have been under. 6 of the last 9 for the Packers. So you want to hit the Lions' last 9 games, they have averaged 16.2. I mean, Kerryon Johnson got hurt along the way. They traded Golden Tate along the way. Marvin Jones got hurt along the way. They're doing a lot of nothing on offense. I mean,
but their defense, that's where you have to focus on the defensive qualities because, I mean, that they were up 9-0 against a Vikings offense that had seemed to flip the script after they fired the offensive coordinator, and it was 9-0, and then everything kind of changed. And again, they might be settling for field goals, but field goals can keep you in a game when you're getting 7.5.
By the way, since McCarthy's been gone, Packers have scored 34.
Yes.
17, but that was against the Bears on the road.
Right.
And 44.
They are like top 5 in every offensive category since the firing.
Yep. So I might be leaning Packers here.
Cool.
Jags Texans. This is at Houston. Texans by 7. Over-under 40.5. So the Texans, they could get as high as AFC number 2. That's if they win and the Patriots lose. They could fall to AFC number 6 if the Texans lose this game and the Colts win. The Colts will win the South, and the Texans would fall to number 6. Texans have lost 2 out of 3 after their 9-game winning streak. Texans also going to be without Demaryius Thomas, by the way. Hurt himself.
That's sad.
The Jags have won 2 out of their last 4, but they've averaged 11. They've scored 45 points in those 4 games. We're not sure if they're going to play Kessler or Bortles this week.
Oh, Bortles, weird. What did I ask you last week?
Yeah, you did. One thing that one of the SB Nation websites, Big Cat Country, which does a good job, said part of the reason they took Kessler out when he got banged up on a play
Yeah, I heard his
They brought him back. Then they brought Bortles back. Basically, the reasoning from the coach was that, well, they needed Bortles' mobility because they couldn't protect the quarterback.
4 out of the 5 starting offensive linemen for the Jaguars are on injured reserve right now.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, they literally, one side of their line is cast-offs from the Giants, who the Giants didn't think were good enough to stay on the roster. And they have a bad line.
Not a ringing endorsement.
No.
And the Texans pass rush is pretty good.
Yeah. So you might see Bortles. I mean, I don't think it matters from a real foot. It's not like, oh, we get an upgrade or a downgrade. It's 2 not so good quarterbacks. Bortles probably better, as we've talked about.
Yeah.
I think Texans cover here, probably.
Agreed.
Yep. All right. That sounds. So anyway, the Texans have a lot of ways. The Texans have very big incentive here because they're probably going to wind up with the number 3, right? If they win, the Pats win. They're obviously number 3. They go into their predestined spot on Saturday afternoon on Wild Card Weekend, which they do every year, and get that game. But if they lose this game, it is bad, bad, bad for them. So,
and again, the Jaguars defense has played better.
Yeah, they have.
I guess if you're looking for a reason, it's only going to be the defense, or Blake Bortles. Getting Allen Robinson back, Marquise Lee, Cecil Shorts III, when they actually had a passing game.
Cecil Shorts III, wow.
He's very active on Twitter. He's a good Twitter follower.
Is he? Okay. Ravens-Browns. Ravens by 6, over under 41. It's at Baltimore. Ravens, another team. This is of all these teams, it's like the Pats and the Texans. I don't want to say they're playing pushovers, but they're playing teams they should beat.
Right.
The Ravens have a tough one here. I mean, your Browns have been really solid. That game they won the other day, like we said, it was a backdoor cover by the Bengals. It was not as close as it looked.
Dude, if they just get the punt off, we're not even having that discussion.
Yeah.
All right. Very bitter. Very bitter.
So Ravens are in with a win. They could get as high as number 2. If the Patriots and the Texans lose, the Ravens could get to number 2. Most likely they get to number 4. They're number 4 with a win. If they lose, they could miss the playoffs. So we had this situation last year when they were playing a Bengals team they should have beaten, and they lost on that Andy Dalton to Tyler Boyd pass that got Andy Dalton all that charity money from the Bills fans, if you remember.
I do.
Anyway, Ravens plus 6. You think the Browns have been tough.
They have. If Joe Flacco was starting this game and the Browns were getting 6, I would be all over the Browns. With Lamar Jackson, it's just a different wrinkle. You look at how it's such a smart way they're using Jackson. It makes me so mad how smartly they're using him. They are shrinking every game. They are controlling the clock, and they're letting T-Sizzle and that defense do what they do best, and they're keeping them off the field, so they're less tired than they were earlier this season where you're in and out. But because the Ravens are putting together such long drives, the defense getting more rest, they're going to come at you. 6 is a lot for how well the Browns are playing, but with time of possession probably going to be 35, 25 or higher for the Ravens, and the Browns defense still not perfect. I mean, it's one thing playing Driscoll. It's another thing playing Lamar Jackson in a read option offense where Gus Edwards will break a big run on any given play too. So many points. I'm going to lean Ravens to win and cover. But if I had a confidence pool, it'd be towards the bottom.
Yeah. The point you make about the Ravens is interesting. You never want to lay a lot of points with them because of the way they play, because they contract the game.
Right.
However,
they have to score. In other words, they have to score on their drives.
As fun as the whole Browns thing has been, the one thing I will point out, they won 5 out of 6, but there haven't been the 5 wins. There hasn't really been a good team in there.
Right. No, and that's completely warranted.
And the one good team that was in there, it was a road game. They lost by 16 at Houston. Yeah. So, I mean, the Browns are coming. I just don't know that these wins tell us that they're there yet.
Baker is going to be very uncomfortable this week. And he was very uncomfortable in Houston when they lost by 16.
I think I lean Ravens.
Yes.
All right.
Very proud of Baker, though.
You should be. That guy's terrific.
His, like, in the trading card world, his autographs, football cards don't sell for much, but, man, he's bringing in $200 per rookie card when he has his auto on it.
Really?
Which is a ton of money for a football card.
Wow.
A lot of money. The Baker Mayfield hobby investment is doing well right now.
Nice. How about that? Falcons, Bucks. Bucks by 1, over under 51.5. It's at Tampa. I don't know what to make of this game. I mean, it's one of those useless games on the schedule, kind of like Bills Dolphins, which we'll get to next. Tevin Coleman, we're not sure his status. He hurt his groin the other day, so you might see some Brian Hill in the backfield. He had one big run the other day and punched a guy on a stiff arm, which I love. Yeah. The Bucks have been decent at home, 4-3. Falcons are 2-5 against the spread away. Falcons have won 2 in a row, which is kind of nice for them. They finally, at least won some. But the thing is, they won at home against the Cardinals, and then they went on the road against the Panthers, who had a backup quarterback.
Who you liked against the Falcons last week?
Taylor Heineke. I told you, I tried to talk myself into it. I didn't like that's strong.
You just are a Panthers apologist.
Yeah, I am. By the way, 51.5 here. Last 5 for the Bucks have been under. 5 of the last 7 for the Falcons have been under. Just food for thought there.
And they just want to get to the finish line. They don't care how many points.
Yeah, I mean, the Falcons are the biggest disappointment in the league, right? Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, again, it's so weird that they're such a disappointment, and they finally got Julio Jones more involved. Now, granted, let's give them the caveat that if they didn't have all those defensive injuries to their secondary and linebacking core, it might be different, but I don't think it would be drastically because Steve Sarkisian isn't very good at it.
Yeah.
I like the Buccaneers in this game too.
I think I do too. Again, nobody has anything to play for.
But just one little nugget: Jameis Winston has played well. I will say this: if they could convert in the red zone, they'd be destroying teams. Their red zone offense is terrible, and Jameis, had he not had that strip when he was rolling out of the pocket, and Jalen, who's the Jalen on the
Jalen Smith?
Jalen Smith, amazing play to get to him. If he doesn't keep it out here and he has it tucked in, that could have been a different game in Dallas, and we could be.
But that's Jameis right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he hadn't been making those mistakes up until that. They've been struggling in the red zone. But, I mean, there's a lot of things. Again, Jameis is far from perfect, but there's a lot of things to like with that Buccaneers team if they could just – and their defense have been playing better. I mean, you look at the defensive stats the last few weeks, they're not terrible as much as their record indicates that.
Yeah, it's weird. The thing with Jameis with the Bucs, I think they're going to keep him.
I do too.
But if it wasn't for the off-the-field stuff, it would be a complete no-brainer to keep him.
Right.
And teams would be falling all over themselves to get him if he got let go.
Yep.
And now, with the other stuff, if he was on the open market, teams would be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, some teams would go after him, sure, but.
Right. And I think Dirk Cutter, again, it's week 17, and he's kind of written his own narrative, but another win doesn't hurt his case for staying.
Right. But it sounds like he's a goner.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. Dolphins, I'm leaning Bucks too. Dolphins, Bills by 3.5, over under 38.5. The Dolphins are the most confounding. The Dolphins and the Titans are the two teams that every week. Now I'm at the point now, I probably was there 2 weeks ago. People say, hey, how do you think they'll do this week? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Last week I thought the Dolphins were a lock.
I did. I mean, that was my most confident game. And against Cody Kessler, who had led 2 touchdown drives in 33 possessions. And that's where the defense of the Jaguars kind of just pulled down the Dolphins to whatever. But there's no reason the Dolphins should have lost that game. I don't care if they covered; they shouldn't have lost. Bills play well at home. I think Josh Allen's still playing for just getting in the rhythm of being a quality quarterback, not just a running quarterback, right?
Right.
I'd probably take Bills and over.
Yeah, Bills at home, but then the Dolphins. This is another one. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, the Dolphins could win this game.
Yeah,
and they can lose by 10. I don't know. I don't know what Dolphins team I'm going to get. I think I know what Bills team I'm going to get. I don't know what Dolphins team I'm going to get.
I wish Frank Gore was healthy.
Yeah, I thought they were going to use Balaj more, and they didn't.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's sort of sample size. We always talk about sample size mattering when making adjustments and analyzing things. Balaj would have made more sense to use.
Well, one of the beat writers. The beat writers. I've always said, you and I worked together for a long time, and when we used to do fantasy, I used to always say, trust the beat writers.
Yeah,
and for them more than anybody else. Adam Schefter's a great reporter. If you're looking for playing time information, the beat writers are better.
Right.
That's they're with the team every day. That's the way it is. But last week, the one on ESPN basically said Balaj will be the early down back and Drake will be the change of pace, the third down. And it kind of didn't work. And maybe it was a game script thing because the Jags went up later, but I don't know. It's just Anyway.
The Dolphins were 5-1 or 6-1 against the spread at home.
Yep. Yeah, it made no sense. Which another one, you can't trust them to one way or the other. Bengals Steelers. Steelers by 14.5. Over under 45.5. Steelers have an uphill battle here. They need a win and a Bengals loss. Sorry, they need a win and either a Ravens loss or a Colts Titans tie. Which, I mean, whatever. You might as well play lotto instead of that. James Conner might play. Did you know the Bengals were 5-2 against the spread on the road? I didn't.
You just told me that.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that.
But they got the cover they got this past week was, was lucky. I mean, the Steelers
Driscoll's awful. Driscoll's awful.
Yeah, Driscoll's not good. And the
he
Steelers
might be worse than Cody Kessler.
Steelers have a ton to play for.
Yes.
So I might bet the cover.
Yes. So we made all those points about is the team really 14 points better? And in this case, 14.5. Yeah, because Driscoll's not good. And AJ Green's not coming out of that tunnel. And who else? Oh, Ben Utecht, I think, scored. Who's their guy that scored a – Uzuma scored a touchdown. When you're counting on that to get 6 points, yikes. Right. Steelers, they had no business. They snatched defeat from the jaws of victory in New Orleans. Yeah. They'll correct that wrong at home here, and I think it could be like a 38-13 type win.
I think you might be right.
Because Juju hasn't made those type of mistakes his entire career, even though it's been short.
Poor Juju, trying to stick up for his fantasy fans, and
unbelievable. All right, fall down.
Bears Vikings. Did I get this wrong? Hold on.
No problem. Pending.
I looked at it wrong because I wrote that, and in my notes I got the spread wrong. No, it's Vikings by 5. Really? I mean, the Bears have something to play for here. Mm-hmm. This spread assumes that the Vikings have everything to play for. The Vikings need to win, or they need the Eagles to lose. But basically, the Vikings are like, we got to win this game or we're dead. That's the way they have to look at it. Mm-hmm. The Bears can get a bye. I mean, they probably won't because the Rams are playing the Niners at home.
No love
for Bears.
Mullins. No love for Nick Mullins.
Do you think the Bears are gonna rest? Like this spread seemed interesting to me, and maybe I'm over emphasizing the chance the Bears have to improve their seeding.
Maybe. And let's just say, I think we have to take the argument that the Bears are going to play for the win and for whatever the best case scenario is for this to make sense, because these are the games where Kirk Cousins struggles up. Like he is, and if you have the Bears coming at you full bore, that's going to be tough for Cousins to, again, the Vikings were not playing well at Detroit last week. The offense, which looked amazing a week after firing their offensive coordinator and concentrating on the run. Dalvin Cook had a monster game 2 weeks ago, and then they kind of stitched together where the Lions were like, well, if they're going to make a Hail Mary at the end of the half, I don't care what happens the rest of this game, because that's how the rest of that game went. The Bears, on the other hand, aren't going to do that. It is tricky, though, to kind of – I didn't get to see any of the Bears 49ers games. So when I see a 14-9 final, I'm like, what are the Niners doing the last few weeks that has confused people? Maybe Trubisky's just not as good, this and that. But I just think Cousins is going to lose this game more than the Bears would win.
Wow.
But I will take
You're taking the Bears?
Yes.
Yeah, I think with that amount of points, I'm taking the Bears too.
Yeah, it is a lot of points.
They have not been great on the road. I mean, that close game at San Francisco did not surprise me. I actually thought the Niners would cover because the Bears on the road have been kind of meh.
Yeah, it's a Trubisky problem there.
Yep.
Not very good either.
Bears beat the Vikings 25-20 a month ago, by the way, and there was no Dalvin Cook. So, all right.
Dalvin Cook's pretty good.
Chargers Broncos. Chargers at Broncos. Chargers favored by 6.5. Over under is 41.5. So as we talked about, the Chargers can get the number 1 seed in the AFC if they win and the Chiefs lose, but the Chiefs are playing home against the Raiders, so that's probably not going to happen. Broncos had gotten to 6-6 and were looking like a potential playoff team, and then they were not good again. And they've lost 3 in a row.
They lost Harris, their secondary.
Yeah, and now they've lost Philip Lindsay.
I know. My rookie of the year is gone.
Yeah. So that's not good.
No.
The Broncos did beat the Chargers 23-22 a month ago. They had that last-minute field goal. The Chargers, Rivers threw that bad interception that we talked about a bit. The Chargers are 6-1 against the spread on the road. The Broncos 2-4-1 against the spread at home. Chargers are going to get Eckler back most likely, which is helpful. I mean, Justin Jackson's been solid, but Eckler's pretty good. They like Eckler. I don't know. I mean, the Broncos, by the way, those 3 losses, they've scored 14, 16, 14. The offense is sputtering without – I know the rookies are putting up decent stats, but without Emmanuel Sanders, that offense is sputtering. And you talked about how that defense has been banged up a little bit.
Chargers by 7.
Chargers by 7?
I like
it. By that.
I like it.
I got to think about it a little bit. I hate giving a touchdown to the Broncos at home.
I understand that, but Case Keenum's garbage, and they kind of got pushed around by the Raiders, who aren't good. Chargers have something to play for.
Yep.
Granted, Kansas City's not going to lose to the Raiders, so they might dial it back a little bit.
They might.
I guess there's that. That would be the one factor where you'd fade the 6.5, but I'm going to take Chargers because I think Rivers, they just want to play to win and get it. Because again, they got out of whack last week against the Ravens when the way that the Chargers play was the way that game was dictated was by the Ravens, not by the Chargers on their home field.
All right. So the Broncos, by the way, I'm just going to go through the Broncos' home schedule so far. They won by 3 against the Seahawks. They won by 1 against the Raiders. They lost by 4 to the Chiefs. They lost by 3 to the Rams. They lost by 2 to the Texans. They beat the Steelers. And they lost by 1 to the Browns. So the worst game they've had at home, the worst margin, was a 4-point loss to the Chiefs.
With Philip Lindsay, who is...
With Philip Lindsay. Worst team is not bad. I mean, I get what you're saying. Lindsay's better.
But no, they need Lindsay to be at elite. Because I like Royce Freeman too, but I think they need that 1-2 punch to maximize. And Devontae Booker could grasp something that he had in 2017 and show you a little flash. I don't discredit that. But the Chargers defense is still pretty good. Again, when the Ravens are such a enigma, so don't even look at that game analyzing what the Chargers are, because the Ravens are dictating everything in each game they go into. So I don't glean a lot of information from the Chargers loss to the Ravens. Look at the Chargers' entire body of work and look at the Broncos' last month of work and then take Philip Lindsay out of the equation. When you say it out loud like that, it's like, man, how do they cover?
Put it this way. If this game jumps to 7 or above, I'm taking the Broncos for sure.
Agreed. Yeah, it's tough. Right. Because the Chiefs will probably have already won.
Cardinals, Seahawks. So the Seahawks are locked into the number 5 seed in the NFC. They cannot change their position. Because of that, right now, as we're recording this, I'm talking at, if you're not watching it live, I'm talking at 10 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday morning. There's no line in this game. There's no over-under. So there's no real good reason to discuss this further. Let's see what the spread is before we go out. I mean, Russell Wilson might sit. They're going to play next week. You got to think they're going to rest people. Niners, Rams. Rams by 10, over-unders 50. The Rams can clinch the number 2 NFC seed with a win or with a Bears loss. So you got to think the Rams are going to be playing. Todd Gurley's status to be determined. I think if they have any concerns about him at all, he will probably sit again. The Rams are 6-1 at home, but only 2-3-2 against the spread. These two teams played in October. The Rams won 39-10 on the road. Matt Breida and Dante Pettis out for the Niners. So you can see more Jeff Wilson. I mean, it's a ragtag group, but Kyle Shanahan I think he's been terrific. I know they only scored 9 the other day, but he's been terrific in making that team competent with the weird cast of characters.
Mm-hmm. And without Jimmy G. Like, nobody's even mentioned Jimmy Garoppolo's name.
Right. I mean, Nick Mullins, you don't look at Nick Mullins every week anymore. With so many other teams, you look at the quarterback and you go, oh, God, that team's dead. Niners with Nick Mullins, you go, yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Alex Smith light.
Yep. And that guy was in what? Was he 7th round or undrafted free agent? I forget that. Yeah. And he threw 5 picks in the preseason. I mean, he came in, he was a practice squad guy. And Kyle Shanahan's made him a competent quarterback. Mm-hmm. So, still, Rams, what do you think?
If they had Gurley, I'd feel great about the 10. Without Gurley.
Without him, it's hard to give 10. But is this I keep waiting for the get-right game for the Rams.
I know. You can look at, 31-9 at Arizona last week. Like, that wasn't get right because it should have been a lot more than that. Like,
right.
That should be a 50-10 win. And Josh Rosen's terrible, John. He's so bad. You get benched for Mike Glennon back-to-back games. I look at it, the Rams, the way they've played the last 5 weeks, in the same breath that we talked about the Patriots earlier, where they're not stepping on teams' throats when they should. And did they get their confidence shaken in that Chiefs? Like, what happened? Like, something happened, and it wasn't Gurley getting hurt, because that defense. I'm going to take the Niners just because I'm learning some lessons from last week where I'm like, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I feel weird giving a Rams team that just hasn't looked as sharp as they need to. And if they had Gurley, I think they could cover the 10. But without him, I don't know if C.J. Anderson can put together 2 weeks like that back-to-back.
Right.
The Niners' rush defense compared to the league worst Cardinals. I'll take the Niners in this.
All right. I'm on the fence on this one right now. I'm going to decide later in the week. Yeah. I'm not sure. All right, final game. Colts-Titans. So this is a win and in. Titans, right now it's Colts by 2.5. Over-under is 44. The reason it's Colts by 2.5 is because Marcus Mariota's status is up in the air.
And he's garbage.
Well, anyway. So he's got a stinger, which he had early in the year. We're not sure if he's going to play. Blaine Gabbert would be the sub. He played the second half last week. He's not good either. Let me ask you.
So you were agreeing with me on that.
Well, I'm echoing you. How much worse is Gabbert than Mariota? We think he's worse, but how much worse?
A lot worse. I give Mariota. I don't know what Mariota is because he hasn't been healthy on a consistent basis. Like, we don't like. I look at college Mariota. I'm like, oh, he's exciting. He does this, but that was the byproduct of Oregon's offense. So
right.
And again, I stressed this about a month ago. They need Delaney Walker to be what the Titans can be at best, and they don't have Delaney Walker. I think Corey Davis has had a nice year with Mariota. They have played well. Derrick Henry coming out of the fold late. Maybe that's defining them going into 2019. But I have no idea what Titans team's going to show up. And I'll take the Colts in this game. But I don't know what – I don't care if it's Mariota or Gabbert. I have no grasp on what the Titans are going to be on any given week.
All right.
None. No feel.
I don't either. So the status – they're taking this game. The winner makes the playoffs.
Yes.
Most likely as the number 6 seed. However, if the Texans lose to the Jags and the Colts win, the Colts would win the AFC South. So keep
don't be surprised if the Titans win this game with either Gabbert or Mariota. I would not be surprised. If, again, going back to the confidence pool against the spread, this would probably be my one game.
Really?
Against the spread, I have no idea. Straight up, it would probably be higher. But against the spread, I have no feel for what the Titans are going to – the Titans don't have a feel for what they're going to be on any game.
Right. And the thing is, if we hear Mariota's active, that makes you excited, and then you go, but is he healthy? Because earlier in the year, he was sort of partly healthy, and they played him. So we don't know what we're going to get. I don't know. I want to hear what both teams have. I want to hear what the Titans have to say about Mariota over the course of the week.
I love what Andrew Luck and T.Y. Hilton are doing this year.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the more understated developments of this year. It's just T.Y. Hilton doesn't practice. He goes out there on Sunday and lights it up. Like T.Y. Hilton is not practicing, and he's going out there and putting up monster stats. I love Luck and everything here. And if Washington can score 10 off the rip and compete against the Titans, why can't the Colts just blow them out? And when I say blow them out, that means cover by a touchdown or more.
They could. With the Titans, anything's on the table, right?
Yeah, because they're Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde half to half, not even game to game.
Right. All right. Yeah, I'm going to wait on this one, too. I want to hear what the Mariota news is over the course of the week. Anything else you want to talk about? I mean, we covered a lot, and we're at about an hour. Anything else we missed?
No. Is this our last one, John? Or are we
I think we're back next week. We should be back next week.
And we're back. Okay. So
So
will we do Wednesday next week, too, not New Year's Day? Or are we going to do some New Year's Day festivity?
That's it to be determined. Let's figure that out, and we'll talk to Sean and figure out what we're going to do.
So we're going to do what? There's how many games next weekend?
4.
So we'll do 15 minutes on each game. We'll just have we need a graphics package. We need commercial breaks, and we need a graphics package going into a playoff season.
All right. So anyway, folks, Josh and I will be here on Friday to talk about the week.
Josh, 12 wins. Josh with his 12 wins.
With 13 and 2.
13. Josh, sorry, I shaved one off.
Yep.
Lots to talk about there.
You might want to ask him questions. He's at Josh Katzwitz on Twitter. But if you want to ask Ryan or me, Ryan's at Freelance Fowler. I'm at Halpin37. Our main account is at Pickwatch. Look, if you're watching this on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, like us on Facebook. Remember, when Josh and I talk about the all the week's games, we chop it up into individual game clips. So if you just want to hear about, say, Cardinals Seahawks, I don't know why you would in that one, but you can check it out on our YouTube channel every week. That's it for today's edition of Pickwatch Live. Remember, like I said, I'll be back Friday with Josh, 7 a.m. Eastern live, and you can watch it on demand later on YouTube and Facebook to take a deeper look at all the Week 17 games and to make our picks. For Ryan Fowler, I'm John Halpin. Thank you for watching Pickwatch Live.